Well, the transfer window has been and gone, and don't tell anyone. Oh, lean in a bit. I don't want to make too much of a song and dance about this, in case the game hears and decides to punish me. But I think we've done some absolutely incredible transfer business again. Hello and welcome to Season 2, Part 7 of my Everton Save. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, we're away against Manchester City in the Cup. We will beat them in a game in the second half of the season, I've decided. And that's our last chance too, so we have to win that one. And then we've got the second leg of our Europa League first knockout round match against Rubin. But more important than any of the matches, and the thing that I'm really excited about, transfer business. Now, you need the backstory for the transfer business to make sense, because remember who our troublemaker was. Jorrit Hendricks was causing problems. He didn't think we'd strengthen the team enough after he signed. The whole squad was supporting him. He was a troublemaker. We signed him for £10 million in the summer. We've just sold him for £30 million to Paris Saint-Germain. This is a player who wasn't a regular starter for us. He was causing problems around the squad, and we've got 3 times our money back for him after 6 months of being a squad player. I know he's got potential. I know he's going to end up being good. I know 5 years down the line, we'll look back and think, it would be nice to have him in your team. But still, that solved so many problems. And then, to make it even better, we sold Ryan Woods as well. So we had £35 million to spend on top of the £10 million we already had. But I didn't do a Kev. I didn't waste it all. I just brought in the one player we needed. We needed a ball-winning midfielder, especially with Hendricks leaving the squad. We've only signed a blooming wonder kid, Sander Berg. 21-year-old Norwegian who already has 20 caps for Norway. 3-star current ability, 4-star potential ability. He is as good as any midfielder we've got at the club apart from Will Hughes, with the potential to get much, much better. I can't believe we got him so cheap. It's ridiculous. I think we've upgraded the squad and stuck £25 million in the bank, which is quite the result considering how I normally manage my finances. We're still going to fail financial fair play because, obviously. But look, for once, we're actually under our wage budget. We have transfer budget left. We have a positive bank balance. Yes, the projection is a disaster, but we've actually had a financially prudent transfer window and improved the squad. It will never happen again on this save. Savour it. This is the team that we're going to be playing against Manchester City in today's game. So, despite the fact we signed Burge to play as the ball-winning midfielder, Tom Cleverley comes in today because he was whinging and wanted to run a game. So let's play him in the FA Cup, where he can't do too much harm, hopefully. He'll probably have to play against Rubin in the Europa League as well, because Burge is cup-tied. So it's good to get some matches into him and keep him fit and keep him happy. So this is our team for today. We've got Ryan in goal, who is finally back off international duty and resumes his spot in goal with Didion. He did very well, 14 games, not quite up to the standard of Ryan though, and Ryan is still wanted by Barcelona and Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich and Dortmund, so he's probably got something about him, so I guess he has to come straight back into the team. We've got a back four of Amavi, Van Beek, Rodrigo Chow and Gajic. Midfield, Bruno Fernandes, Cleverley and Berge, with Penny in behind Traore and Lukaku. Traore has come back and just carried on where he left off, scoring goals again. We're not exactly at full strength. We've got Hughes down on the bench. Ross Barkley is not even in the matchday squad because he's shattered, and we're going to just leave him to rest a little bit. Luke de Jong has been very good, while the big superstar, while Traore, because Valencia's still injured, but while Traore's been away, Luke de Jong has managed 17 goals in 16 starts, so he gets a well-deserved rest as well, as does Hughes, as does Asensio. So we're rotating a little bit for what is a big game against runaway Premier League leaders Manchester City, but I am kind of hoping that they're going to have their eyes on bigger and better things, and will be more worried about the Champions League, more worried about winning the Premier League, and will hopefully just let us trot past them and go and win an FA Cup for the second year in a row, because we like winning the FA Cup. I think if we can get through today, our name is on the trophy. I don't expect to get through today, though. I know I said we will beat them at some point. We probably won't, because they are the best team we've come across all season long, and they are just tearing the Premier League apart. So they're in the kind of rampant form that means they'll probably just rip any team apart in any and all competitions. So we've got to be at our best. So we left out our 2 England superstar midfielders because that's how you get to your best. They were tired. Benashia came back from the African Cup of Nations as well, very tired, so we've had to send him on holiday now because he's a little old man, bless him. Played a lot of games out there. I mean, how tired he was, you'd think he walked back. So he's had to go away on a little holiday, so that's why Van Beek's still in the team at the moment. Hopefully Benashia will be back sooner rather than later to reassume his place at the centre of our defence. Certainly for the summer, centre-back is a position we need to strengthen. Traore's in here and he's done brilliantly well. Doesn't really force. It was a fairly tame shot in the end, but he did really well to create the space for himself. If Lukaku had been alive to it, he could have got himself into a nice little spot, stood on the edge of the 6-yard box and just tucked away quite an easy chance. And Amavi has done brilliantly there. I mean, I had no plans for Amavi to be a starter for us this season. We spent a lot of money on Augustinson, but Amavi, certainly in the last, 10, 12 games, has looked like a world beater. He gets forward brilliantly, he's scored some cracking goals, and he's just shown again, he can just find that little bit of space for himself. Look at where he's standing now. He's our left back. He's hovering on the edge of the D as if he's playing in central midfield for us. And we, after all that, concede from a set piece. Vincent Kompany, who must be 100 years old now, has made it 1-0 to Man City. Surely he's not a regular start for them anymore. They've got Nasri back as well. There he is. Whipping it in to Kompany. I mean, it's a beautifully placed header. But I don't understand how an old man like that's still in their team. Perhaps he's not as old as I think he is. Lukaku crosses to Traore and it's 1-1. An immediate reply. Bertrand Traore he scores in every game he plays. If you've got a sort of a Premier League FM17 save going on at the moment and you're a year or two in and you want a prolific goal scorer without spending a ton of money, he's got to be your man. We spent less than £20 million on him and he scores every time he plays a football match. It is ridiculous. In a squad that has Lukaku in it, Traore's our star striker, and I don't understand it. You look at the two of them on paper, and Lukaku should be much better. He's not, though. Traore's the man, and the two of them together are very dangerous, and the main reason why we're hoping to push on for a Champions League qualification finish to the season. Right, we need to start thinking about making some changes. We've got the second leg of the Europa League coming up in just a couple of days' time. We're already 2-0 up from the first leg, but we don't want to go in there risking any silly mistakes. We would like to go and win that competition this season because we'd like it to be the last time we have to play in it. Fernandes has got space here on the left-hand side, can't get the cross in though. So we might have to look at resting some of these players, whipping them off with 20 minutes to go, and just trying to save them for the Reuben game that's coming up. Oh, there you go. Presumably, you've just skillfully seen me edit out a coughing fit. If I left the coughing fit in, I apologise. But, people have got a cough sometimes. Right, we're going to take... Actually, we don't need to take Burge off because he's not going to be playing in the next game. Bruno Fernandes will, though. So we'll bring on Will Hughes. And we'll also bring on Asensio for Penny. And we'll just rotate those two around a little bit. We could probably bring Luke de Jong on as well and just get a little bit of game time into his legs as well. I know we're officially resting him, so it's probably the last thing he needs, but we've given away a penalty. With 20 minutes to go, we've given away a penalty. Matthew Ryan, show us why all the big clubs in Europe want you. Make an amazing save and then sort of dribble it past all their players and score a goal. You did neither of them, for goodness sake. Why did Barcelona want him? I mean, encouragingly, we're playing against the best team in the country and we've created 4 clear-cut chances. If we'd been a little bit more prolific, I mean, that's a very arrogant penalty from Mr. Aguero. If we'd been a little bit more prolific, though, we'd be away from them in this game. I know they've had 3 clear-cut chances as well, so the same could be said for them. But part of me thinks we shouldn't be losing this game. We've played well. And I just wish we could get some more prolific goal scoring out of Lukaku. If you've got Lukaku in your save, let me know how you play him to get goals out of him. We've had this conversation before in the early part of the championship season. and then he came good, and we didn't really change anything, so I assumed it wasn't a problem. But I've tried him as a complete forward. I've tried him as a poacher. He isn't scoring enough goals. How do you play him? What formation do you play him in? I want 30 goals a season out of him. Here we go. I've done it. It's been a long time coming, but we are dropping Romelu Lukaku. Yes, it's only for a Europa League game against Rubin, but it is a game we have to win, and hopefully it'll just send a little bit of a message for him. Hughes and Barkley come back into the team as well, alongside De Jong. Other than that, we are... Oh, and Asensio comes back in as well. Other than that, we are... other than those 5 changes, we're unchanged from the last game. But, you know, we've got the big guys back, and I just hope it will send a message to Lukaku that he needs to sort himself out. We need goals out of the man. And with De Jong and Traore scoring goals for fun, the way they both have been all season, how do we not play them? And when Enner Valencia's fit again, if he comes back in the same form that he was in before he got injured, which, I mean, it's questionable. He had a purple patch of 3 or 4 months, wasn't the same player before, and now he's having a 5-month layoff, so the chances of him coming back in the same form are fairly slim. But if he does, Lukaku's going to be 4th choice striker at Everton. We'll have to take the captaincy off him, and it might then be time to sell him. We talked about selling him at the start of the season. You were fairly unanimous in your view that we should sell him as well, and I ignored you and gave him a new 4-year contract because he's Lukaku and we're Everton, and if you look at the real world, Everton are never going to get a striker as good as Lukaku if he leaves. So it just made sense to keep him. But in fantasy world, where we all live, we have 2 strikers who are better than him already. Right, Rodrigo Chow is injured. We're not going to do any messing around. We're just going to take him straight off. Cheju hasn't played for us for about a year. Certainly not since we've been up in the Premier League. And I don't think in the second half of the Championship season he played for us. But needs must. We've got Ashley Williams is still knocking around, but not on the bench today. Benatia is still away on his holly holes. So Cheju does get to come on and play in Europe. Playing ahead of Lukaku. There we go. Hughes finds Traore to Amavi. Hughes again. Traore's got to prove that I'm not a liar by getting a goal today, by the way. Because if he doesn't score, I'm a liar. De Jong has got himself a goal, but we didn't say he scores every game he plays. We just said, yeah, look, he's got 17 goals in 16 games, or whatever it was. So we probably could have said the same thing about him. It's probably even more appropriate for him. But we still need that goal from Traore as well. That's a good finish from Luke De Jong. And, he's captain today as well, I think. Yes, he is. There you go. Cool, the match engine's pretty on this version, isn't it? You don't notice it very often. Well, I don't notice it very often. But when you can pick out the captain's armband on a player, that shows it's starting to get impressive. Barkley's now got himself a goal as well. Would have preferred him to square it across to Traore to prove I'm not a liar. But Traore's still got time. We're obviously going to just keep playing until he scores. So if this ends up being a 4-hour-long match, then so be it. But I will not be called a liar on the internet by anybody, no matter how good they are. He's not actually having a very good game. We might take him off in a minute if he doesn't score. Traore does try and whip a cross in, but he doesn't make it through, and we're going to concede a goal here. I mean, that's not what we should be doing against a team like this. We're still going to qualify, presumably, unless an absolute disaster happens. But, I mean, yes, it's Cheju chasing back, so there's that. Yeah, hold your head in your hands. You were rubbish. That's why you don't play. But probably shouldn't be conceding goals that easy. Traore is there, but I mean the highlight glitched, so we didn't even get to see him miss. I think I might have cursed him. We've said similar things about players in the past and cursed them to never score goals for us again. And I think that's what's just happened with Traore today. So we're just going to bring Lukaku on and pretend we never mentioned any of it. And hopefully it's going to be the same Romelu Lukaku who forced his way back into being the main man again in our Championship season when we sort of flirted with the idea of not playing him every week back then, and that seemed to be the spark he needed to go on and score 35 goals for us. So I'm hoping it's going to have a similar effect. We're going to take Asensio off as well. Fernandes can come on for him, and we'll stick Hughes back out there to be the roaming playmaker where he does like to play. He just doesn't get to do it very often because Penny and Asensio are at the club now. Amavi crosses. Barkley gets his 2nd goal of the game, his 12th goal of the season, I believe. And that does wrap things up now. We can all go home. We don't need to play these last 10 minutes. Just put a film on or something. It'll be fine. That's a nice little finish from Lukaku. Amavi again. See, told you he was good. Augustinson's going to have a lot of work to do to get himself back into this side, because Amavi, who, when we signed him in the Championship, was one of the players you could argue we looked like we were overpaying for a little bit, looks like a proper top Premier League fullback now. And I don't really get how it's happened, because it's not that we've nurtured him particularly. We even signed a big money replacement for him, and he's just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna be your best left back, and play me or not, I'm just gonna be your best left back, and that's what he's done. I mean, perhaps we need to get him to tutor Lukaku. It's a shame you can't get players to tutor players who aren't in their same position. But if we could get some mental tutoring going on and just get Lukaku thinking the Amavi way, then we'd all be a lot better off. We've just conceded the same goal again. It's a ball over the top. They've got him behind us. Our back four are very static with Cheju in there. And I know it was Van Beek who was chasing back that time, but I don't know. I'm just going to blame Cheju because he's never going to play for us again. Barkley, can he get his hat-trick? He cannot. I can't believe we conceded 2 goals against this lot. We don't stand a hope of winning this competition if we can't keep a clean sheet at home against these. And there we go. It's 3-2. We are through to the next round. I don't know when the draw happens. Does it happen imminently? It happens tomorrow. So let's stick around for the draw. Right, it's the draw for the second knockout round of the Europa League. I've spotted a slight problem with me not playing this save for a couple of days and maybe sometimes forgetting what's going on. Lukaku's just won Premier League Player of the Month because he's got 5 goals in 2 appearances, averaging a 9.1. That's all right, isn't it? We can probably didn't need to drop him. Maybe. I got Manager of the Month, though. So that proves I was right to drop him, because Manager of the Month can't make a mistake. So let's have the draw for the next round of the Europa League. There's going to be big teams in it at this point, presumably. So we want to try and avoid them and progress as far as we possibly can in the competition. Who have we got to fear? Inter are still in there. Liverpool, but I don't think we can play them yet. Roma are a big club. There you go. Liverpool have got Lorient. There's actually not that many massive clubs. Here we are. So who have we got? Who do we want to avoid? We want to avoid Inter. We'd quite like to avoid... I mean, to be honest, as long as it's not Inter, I'll probably be happy. Sporting. Yeah, it's probably harder than it could have been looking at some of the other teams left in it. But I think we have a very good chance of progressing. And that's probably what you'll see in the next video. Yeah, there we are. We'll do Sporting. We might actually just do the second leg of Sporting and a Premier League game, just so we can keep our eye in on the Premier League. We've got a Champions League qualification to do. There you go. We've not talked about the league today. 12 games to go. We're looking good to the Champions League. If you've enjoyed that, make sure you pop a like on there for me. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. And thank you very much for watching.